forgot to start recording. Yeah, I've just left the Embrace, essentially.
Cutthroats who snuck across the border to prey on us. The word is, there's a camp in the metal ruins upriver.
Sounds like I need to craft more arrows. You said I won the proving. How did you know that?
I killed the survivors. I think you fought bravely. As did Bast.
Oh.
And my sister.
Your sister was Vala? I'm very sorry. I liked her. I think we might have even become friends. If we'd had a chance.
Thank you. She died saving others. There is no better death.
You said the war party was massacred.
When word came of the attack on the Proving, but in their haste to get vengeance, a pack of War Chief Sona led a countercharge, and
You said war chiefs.
even when the war party was massacred, she wouldn't give up the chase.
You didn't volunteer?
Of course I did. But to guard this gate,
So there's no way to.
if anyone could survive out...
Sounds like she said.
Ugh, you have no idea.
I should be on the.
Aloy, the tribe need
Where was she last seen?
the war party mask. You might be able to pick...
I get it, Val.
Alright. Sorry, I just want to bring you into the conversation, as it were. Voice chat. Oh. I've just sent a voice request. Hey.
Yeah, I think I...
Yeah.
Hello there, yep.
Yeah.
Definitely got it. It was making a weird ringing noise.
Ah, okay. Cool. Right.
I'm gonna mute your stream.
Yeah, that's
Otherwise
cool.
I'm hearing myself talking and it's weird.
Gonna be feedback, yeah. Well, not feedback, because,
No, don't
May the
attack.
goddess protect.
Yeah.
It's
Basically playing what's going through the stream back at me.
yeah.
The time delay, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
it's hard to explain.
No, I get it.
Discuss.
Does mean I won't hear any of the dialogue in the game or anything, but hey.
It's either that or you turn it down, but, you know.
Well, the trouble is I'd still hear myself talk.
Well, you're gonna have to hear yourself talk at some point, right?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't put up with my voice either.
Oh, and yet you're fine with me putting up with your voice.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe I don't find myself as annoying as you might.
Wow. If that were the case, I wouldn't have invited you to the chat, right?
Yeah, no, I just find feedback like
No,
that
no, I get it.
because I'm listening to what I'm saying while
Yeah.
saying it.
Yeah, and then you get distracted and you can't finish the sentence. Yeah, no, I completely get that. I wish there was a more practical way of doing it so that, like, you don't hear yourself,
Yeah,
but that you can obviously pay attention to everything else.
yeah,
Yeah.
but technology hasn't advanced as far, I don't think.
I'm sure there's a way to do it, but it's just... we haven't figured it out.
Keep that
I mean,
going.
I would guess it'd be something similar, like when bands play live on stage, they've got these little earpieces. They're
No.
actually feeding them information, like the lyrics of the songs they're singing and things like this.
Yeah.
Because that manga I told you about last night
Washes away the taste of metal.
Oh!
has information like that in it.
That's a military academy, that is.
Huh.
It's like an Air Force one.
Where are the planes?
Well, it's an Air Force one, doesn't mean that there are planes there.
So, at 6:05 everybody decided that we weren't going to launch the new Masonic Lodge yet.
Should you be talking about this in public?
Yes. we were going to wait until February.
Right.
And then they spent the next 55 minutes repeating the same argument over.
Yeah.
I can still get the upper hand.
Oh, shoot.
So yeah, that's why I was a bit late, so I do apologise.
No, that's cool. We were oh shit! I got murdered. Yeah, it's a corrupted zone, so the enemies are a lot stronger.
Should you be doing that at your level?
I mean, I was hoping I'd be able to.
It's with me.
Rock and roll.
I was hoping I would just like
Something I discovered.
be able to stealth them, but I guess I'll leave it for later.
I guess because you haven't bought all the stealth perks like hiding your footstep sounds and stuff.
No, I went out right in front of them, so it's bound to happen at one point.
But no, I mean, I didn't even realise that the two game engines were the same. I knew they were similar.
Yeah. Come on,
But I
Kren.
didn't realise it was the same
Oh.
software.
Yeah, so like, when Hideo Kojima left Konami, he kind of went on a world tour to like other game studios.
Injured when the war party was ambushed.
Which is kind of cool.
Mate, if I could do it, I fucking would.
I'm not a hunter, or a brave, or anything really. You shouldn't even be talking to me.
Well, whoever you are, you're hurt. What happened?
My name's Kren. I thought I'd have a go at the trials at the hunting grounds over the rise, you know, Thomas Hills. It didn't go very well.
Why did you say you weren't anything at all, and that I shouldn't talk to you?
I stole a bow, okay? And got cast out. This was before the proving, so now I can't even fight for my tribe in its time of need. I have to live in the wild by myself, which is why I wanted some training. Honestly, I'm just glad the Keeper would talk to me. I think he might be in exile or something. He doesn't seem to care about the laws of the matriarchs.
Things aren't exactly going your way, are they? Is there anything I can do to help?
No. I'll be all right. My father always said, "All mother has a plan for me." Before he got run.
I guess that's their plan for him.
You got injured at a hunting grounds? Oh,
Well, I was aiming for a canister
I
in the back
mean,
of the
you can't
blazer,
really
and my
argue with
bowstring
that, can
snapped
you?
and
Yeah.
tripped, and forget it. It wasn't pretty, okay? I just wanted to train a bit. Hunting grounds are perfect for that. They offer trials, which are like challenges, and they give you marks if you accomplish objectives or beat certain times. The Keeper's up there on the hill, just to the north. Talk to him to do a trial. I'm sure you'd do better than I did.
I need to get going, Kren.
All right. Be careful.
Yeah, like, it's not a particularly good plan. Not for you, but like, it is a plan, technically.
And of course, he wasn't incompetent by not repairing his bow properly or anything. It was.
Well, I just mean, like, technically anything can be fate, even if it's shitty. It's like, my plan for you is to die a painful, agonizing death over many, many years, and it's like, well, great. That is a just God, that is. Like, what did I ever do to you? You know, like...
You looked at me funny.
Right? It's like, oh no, it's just fuck you in particular, you know, like... For no reason.
Everybody, I am a kind, benevolent God, except for Josh.
Yeah.
Josh pissed me.
Just fuck you in particular.
Save these for the trail.
He was born with a bigger nose than I like, so therefore, fuck you, Josh.
Ooh, hello. Let's see, what do I want? That'd be cool. Beats up healing. That'd be a pretty good one. Well, I've got these.
I would also get the
Probably that
repair
one.
the mount option if that's available.
Probably not yet, and that's number 2.
Ah, yeah, because that's probably the... Yes, I can see it there, because it's
Yeah.
one of the most useful skills. In my experience from playing it on the PS4.
Yeah, yeah.
But, so, for those who don't know, what was the basics of the story with Hideo Kojima leaving Konami? It just sort of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of speculation, though nothing's been confirmed per se. But they weren't happy with how much he was spending for Metal Gear 5, despite the fact that it was going to make them bank.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's consistently proven with that series.
Absolutely, yeah. So they started doing like really shitty things, like what was it? Sorry, 1 second. I'm just trying to. Like they fired him, but like they wouldn't let him liaise with like his team. Just a bunch of really, really shitty things. So there was basically a point where he was, for all intents and purposes, fired. But they still wouldn't let him do anything, essentially. Like, not even...
But not
like,
being funny, his studio must have made them billions over the years.
yeah, like, he... They probably weren't happy that, like, his name was being tied to all of the Metal Gear games and stuff.
But didn't he create?
Yeah.
It's like, what do you expect if you're the creator?
There's probably better ways they could have handled it, but, you know, everybody was pretty much in support of Hideo Kojima pretty much unanimously, just because they were being assholes about it.
The thing is, you know me, I'm not a big horror movie game fan. I played a few,
Yeah.
mostly at your suggestion,
Yeah.
ironically. But I was genuinely looking forward to Silent Hill.
Yeah. And you can kind of see elements of that horror in, like, Death Stranding.
Yeah.
Like,
And I was particularly enthusiastic about, I can never pronounce his name, so I'll just say his surname.
yeah.
Del Toro's involvement
Yeah.
with that. Because I can never pronounce
Yeah, Guillermo, I think. Yeah.
Guillermo. And this is coming from someone with a foreign surname.
Yeah.
And it was a once in a lifetime opportunity
Yeah.
for people of that caliber to be working together on something like a video game, because it doesn't happen, frankly.
Yeah.
And it was insanely popular already just from the downloads of the demo.
Yeah.
And for how much PlayStations are being sold for that have the demo installed on it.
Yeah.
And you just think they really shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I mean, there's hints that, like, he might go back to the Silent Hills franchise. Just because quite a bit of time has passed.
Yeah.
So it's possible that that might actually happen.
He told me this
Because
is a
one
hunting
rumour
grounds where you
I
offer
heard,
tastes
I
of
don't know if you heard it,
Yeah.
was
Is
that
that I reckon
Konami
you
was
just
trying to go into the mobile games instead
choose
of
your
console.
Yeah, they were going into can't remember what they were called now. Essentially, like gambling machines in Japan.
Yeah. Pachinko?
Yes, that's it. So like
I
they
only know because because I play
I like that
Yakuza
one.
and there's quite a lot.
Yeah, so like they were moving away from traditional AAA like releases.
Which is insane in and of itself because they're one of the grandfathers of video gaming. If it wasn't for most of their 8-bit games during the, you know, early days of the consoles, I doubt we'd even have games like this now.
Ah, shit.
Did you mean to cause a stampede?
Yeah, I need to like I need to
Fascinating, if they weren't looking for me.
But I'm glad to know it isn't just me that gets the whole you fire and then they look down so your critical hit then misses.
yeah.
I always thought it was because I was bad at this game.
So this is like you have to remove their those canisters in the back.
Yeah, and then pick them up, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But you can use your staff to do that.
Yeah.
There's an actual skill that makes it more likely to break off if you hit with a staff.
Yeah.
I don't mean to backseat game, I'm just figuring it would be helpful. Because I don't know what your time limit is, because you're already at a minute 30. But,
Oh, come on.
you played the Spider-Man originally, didn't you?
Yeah.
Came out on See,
Oh,
I
come on.
bought it and I got the Game of the Year edition because it went on sale and it was like £12 for the Game of the Year edition.
The PS4
over
one, you?
Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Miles Morales is on the PS4 as well because I bought that at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at how short Miles Morales actually
Yeah?
was. Because I completed it within 12 hours. At 100%. In terms of did every mission. Obviously didn't bother, you know, trying to get the gold star on every
Yeah, yeah.
because frankly, trying to web through hoops on a time limit is not my kind of thing when the controls barely function.
Yeah.
I mean, they do what they say on the tin, but when you're trying to go round a corner, it suddenly wants to stick to the wall
There we
instead of
go.
doing what it does when you want to stick to the wall. It's like it reads your mind to go, I'm going to do the opposite of what you want at all times.
Yeah, I mean, I saw like a YouTuber play it.
And it really reminds me of the early days of the first Assassin's Creed game,
Yeah.
where it was so clunky and opposite-y. But I've recently downloaded Medium and I'll be giving that a try.
Yeah? Is that via the Game Pass?
Yes.
Yeah.
Since you like horror games, I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy it.
I'm not really... I don't play a lot of horror games, I'm gonna be honest.
But to be honest, I also got the standard ones like Forza Horizon and No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Just because everyone's playing it, so I thought I'd give it a go.
What,
See
Forza?
if it was worth it. That and No Man's Sky as well.
I thought you got a refund for that.
No, that was
Safe.
somebody conned
For a
me.
few minutes, anyway.
They sold me what was supposed to be a CD key for it.
Right.
First time out,
And
that's
then when
how
I
you
went
do
to
it.
use the code, it
Here's a
had
half cell.
been
Go a
a
little faster next time.
deactivated code.
Time
Yeah.
for me to head out.
I'll be
So either someone had tried using it or it had been stolen.
Yeah, yeah.
My guess is the latter.
Either way, not great.
So I ended up having to get a refund.
Well, at least you got the refund.
Yeah, but it shouldn't have taken as much convincing as it did
Yeah.
to get it.
Just didn't want to give you your money back.
Well, no, I ended up having to get it through PayPal rather than the site that sold it to me.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because the site that sold it to me, I bought CD keys from before. For like
Yeah, I
World of
mean,
Warcraft
it's
and stuff.
kind of a grey area when it comes to CD key sites, because they tend to, you know, be fine with buying codes in bulk, which only ever happens when there is essentially a fraud. You know, because like you don't typically buy a dozen codes for different games. Well, for one game, you know, like it just doesn't happen.
I mean, I prefer buying it directly from places like Steam, and paying the full price. But occasionally, I think certain games like the next World of Warcraft expansion, in my mind, just isn't worth the money when you then pay a subscription fee on top of that original fee.
That's fair.
So I will then try and get a cheaper CD key.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it's meh.
Because generally with games like that, it's one I know I'm going to drop fairly soon after buying it. Because I'll get bored of the grinding. I mean, the reason I dropped this game was not quite that, but it does have a lot of grinding in it, and for some people that's great, but for others like myself, it's like I just care about the story more than the repetitiveness.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm the perfect market to sell some of the microtransactions to, because I'm like, I'd rather just buy the thing that reveals the entire map than working my way
Yeah,
around trying to find each treasure chest. Or...
It's something Assassin's Creed does, isn't it?
Yes, I was thinking specifically of Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Yeah.
When they did that for the first time, I instantly went out and bought it, but then I did honestly get pissed off that when you start a new game you had to repurchase it.
Yeah.
I was like, but I paid real money for it, so by right,
I mean,
I own it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty greedy.
It is. So that's when I sort of went, okay, I'll pay for microtransactions if it's a game I'm going to do long term.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just aren't worth it because it is a cash grab.
Yeah, absolutely.
And unfortunately, 90% of games have become the way they have because people pay money.
Alright, ones.
Danger for you, Outlander. This is Norland.
Yes, yes, yes. Trespass is forbidden on pain of death. Strange phrase, the pain of death. See? This one's in no pain at all.
Who was he?
A thief, slaver, a killer. The kind that give honest killers a bad name.
Farrell told me there would be bandit ambushes on the road.
Well, it's not all good news. They don't always come to you. Most dig out a camp and there they'll sit like spoil on meat.
Unless someone does something about it?
I like you. Follow the trail of smoke on the other side of the ruins. I'll be there.
Alright. Sorry, yeah. I don't know if, like, I can set the delay so that there isn't any.
Should have brought a cart.
I think a lot of it comes down to your internet service provider.
I mean...
and things like that.
I'm pretty sure there's a setting for it. Somewhere, maybe.
But then you want it to be slightly delayed so that you've got time to mod something out if you need to. It's
I'll worry about it later. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll worry about it another time. Wait.
But to go back to the microtransactions, I mean, you and I grew up in a time where we paid
Yeah.
mostly 20 to 30 pounds, and that was it.
Yeah.
You know, 20 for the not so new releases and 30 for the brand spanking chart, you know. And that £30 included everything. There was no microtransactions, there was no bonus content.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with paying more for games. It's just like when they do that and they've got the season passes and they've got microtransactions, and it's like you're taking the piss now. You know?
I mean, take Anno 1800, one of
Oh,
my
shite.
favourite city builder games, and I know you like the Anno series because you're
I played one
the
of
one
them.
who told me about it existing.
Yeah. I played the futuristic one, and that's mostly about it.
But I bought the season pass for Anno 1800,
Yeah.
and then they bought out a second season, and that had a second season pass.
Yeah.
So I bought that when it went on sale recently,
Yeah.
and only cost like a tenner. And now they've just bought out a third season.
That's probably why they made it discounted. Get you hooked.
And it's like, but I've already paid 70 quid for the game.
Yeah, it's because they're aiming for a services model. Yeah.
I don't mind paying a season pass for a collection of DLC because it's no different than buying an expansion pack, like for Diablo 2, for example. But to only have maybe one piece of DLC that's actually story content and the rest of it was just cosmetic items.
Yeah. That's the thing, is like, what was it? The Square Enix does that quite a lot. Where, like, it's just costumes, and it's like,
Yeah.
I think I'm good, thanks.
I mean, I bought one thing on WoW with real money, which was a flying mount.
Yeah.
But that was when flying mounts first came out,
Yeah.
and you had to buy them if you wanted to fly.
I
now
mean,
it's
you
called-
can still... I don't know, when I played WoW, you can grind rep for it.
I'm not getting in.
Now, yes, but I'm talking about back in, like, Cataclysm.
Yeah, I'm talking about when I was playing in the first expansion. The Burning
really?
Crusade? Yeah.
They had them then.
Yeah, they didn't do cash for stuff until later. They still had a little bit when Wrath of the Lich King came out.
See, that just shows how manipulative marketing campaigns are, because they make it seem like it's never been done.
No, so you can like buy gold, but they're like the boring ones, as it were. Typically what happens is you can purchase mounts that are otherwise not available and look extra cool, essentially.
Because I bought the blue Pegasus galactic one, which
Yeah.
looks like it's made from stars.
Yes, yeah, I remember seeing that one.
And I stopped playing soon after, to be honest, because I only started playing it because you were. And then you stopped playing, and it was like, oh well, my entire reason for
Yeah, no,
owning
that's
this
fair, that's fair.
has now disappeared.
Like,
so-
I did play Division 2 quite a bit, and I just kind of dropped off because, like, there's nothing interesting. Like, I'm there for the story, and, like...
Yeah, I mean, it kind of annoyed me when you did that, because we started playing it together on day one, and then you weren't telling me when you were online.
That would have been, like,
and then
every
you-
day.
But
Practically.
you didn't tell me that you were logging on. So I was sat waiting to hear from you.
Mm.
So then you ended up completing most of it without me, and again, once you'd done it, you weren't, and I understand, weren't keen to go back to the lower stuff
Yeah.
because you get bored.
Well, like,
And-
I like to blast through it. That's the thing, like...
And that's the thing, MMOs like that are designed for groups.
To a point, yeah.
They don't really have enough story content for solo players, in my opinion. Which is why Final Fantasy XIV was the one that I would spend the sort of time on, or Elder Scrolls Online,
Yeah.
because it was designed to be solo.
Yeah.
Like you said the other day, and then grouped in dungeons.
Yeah.
Which puts me off on a lot of other MMOs, because I'm like, I don't know enough people that play it to get the full
Yeah.
enjoyment. Say for like League of Legends, if
Oh,
I
God.
started trying to play that now, I'd be stuck with a team that I would be nothing but dead weight.
They'd also be super
they-
toxic, so there's that.
Well, yes, but the point is that they'd be, well, not right to be super toxic,
focus
but
is
I could
picking up some
understand
kind
their
of signal.
frustration.
Yeah, but,
But
like,
at the same time,
if you're learning a game, you gotta start somewhere.
like you say, at the same time, how am I going to learn if I don't play?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is why I would think that stuff like that should have a larger
Those ruins.
offline
That
op
must be Devil's
mode,
Thirst.
so that you can get
City
used
of
to
the
things
mountains.
and then
Of
go
the
and play
Meadowlands.
online.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like Call of Duty has with its, I don't know what they call
Campaign.
it these days.
Probably.
No, not the campaign. There was a matchmaking where you could be just yourself against robots. You know, you could choose the difficulty of the AI. So by the time you got to the ultra hard AI setting,
That's
you
all
were ready to play against humans.
Just like Ross described it.
I don't think CPU
The signal.
ever really made you prepared against other people. Well, at least
No,
that's
but
the
it gave you-
case
it gave
in...
you more of
Signal
an
must be coming
edge.
from Atomic's head.
Yeah.
I need to find a way to climb it.
Going
Like,
in blind.
in most instances, like like in Warcraft and whatever, or Starcraft, etc., like, it never prepares you for an actual battle against another person.
But the other advantage on older games, I don't know if they did it on those particular games, they would have a
Be able
respawn
to jump
time.
back
Cool.
to Atomic.
So
Yeah.
you couldn't be killed again within that timer.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever be able to play MOBAs.
No, I tried and failed miserably. Simply because my reaction speeds with my disability would
I
never
just-
be-
I just think they're way too intimidating, considering like the amount that you've got to learn.
Yeah. I mean, I started playing EVE Online and I very quickly left, not because I wasn't enjoying it, but the learning curve was just too steep for a newbie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think EVE Online's too bad. It's very overwhelming at first.
Yeah.
So you do need to sort of have some sort of guide. But
And that's the thing, the guides they've written that I found was so over the top of my head, complicated language,
yeah,
There
that
should
I
be a
was
good
like,
spot
do you
for
know
jumping
what,
onto
I
the
can
tunnel.
go play Doom or something else and I'll enjoy that more than trying to sit there scratching my head going,
Okay,
what does
time to
this
climb up
button
to
do,
the top.
what does this
Yeah.
do, what does... But again, there's a market out there for it. I mean, a lot of survival games like Valheim are based on you wanting to touch, taste, explore.
Yeah, I mean, my issue with a lot of survival games is that, like, there's not a very good tutorial.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, oh, you're dropped in the world, just do whatever. And, like, I'm like,
Yeah,
that doesn't...
taught me the basics.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I've watched other people play survival games, but the thing is that, like, all that tells me is I should use my fist to punch a fucking tree. And it's like,
Right.
okay, now that I've got the wood, how do I craft? Like, there's no instruction whatsoever, and you have to make your own objectives. And I, like, handhold me to a point at least, just so that I can get going, and I can set that I'm sufficient to set my own sort of objectives to a point. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And there's also games out there that are like that do a little bit of hand holding, but they say, by the way, if you don't play this online with other people, nothing will be in the world because other players won't have built buildings around, you know, things like that. They don't tell you, and yet they'll say play it offline as one of the options when you set the game up.
yeah.
And I think that there should be at least a warning going, you will not have 98% of the content if you choose this option.
I mean, in that case, that kind of acts as like a tutorial, I guess. Like,
I mean, take No Man's Sky, not No Man's Sky, sorry, Death Stranding.
yeah,
Would that stuff that other players have built helping you navigate
yeah.
be there if I turned off connectivity?
No, it wouldn't.
Exactly my point.
But that's the entire point, is that there's no antagonistic online element when it comes to Death Stranding. Whereas there's no, like, PvP or anything like that. It's purely cooperative. Yeah.
Which is great, and that's what makes me more inclined to buy it.
Yeah.
But in my case, if it doesn't tell me in the shop that that's the case when I'm buying it, it's going to put me off.
But what typically happens is there's an option that will say that when you go into the settings. You know, like...
But I probably would have had to explore for it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, it's on by default because that's the way the game is designed to be played.
I mean, I had to turn off the connectivity on things like Watch Dogs because I couldn't even get through missions without people hopping in and ruining the game.
Yeah. That tend to be fairly rare, though. Like, at least.
Well, I had it happen 10 times in a row one day.
Huh.
But
I might have switched it off later, though. I don't know. It's been a while since I've played it, to be fair.
But then, even if you have it turned off, the game was constantly trying to shoehorn you into turning it back on.
Yeah.
I was like, so much for me playing it the way I want to.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I've sat there at E3 announcements where people are like saying, we think single player campaigns are dying. And I'm like, what planet are you living on? Because
Yeah.
they're the main games I prefer.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, gaming.
Well,
with
it's
friends, like,
they only say that because they want to make it so that games as a service model. They want to excuse that their pivot to that, essentially.
Yeah. Because the thing is, gaming with friends like yourself is fine because I know you well.
Yeah.
And I know you wouldn't ruin a game for me on purpose.
Not deliberately, no.
But other people are for want of a better word, arseholes
Oh, absolutely.
who don't give a crap whether you're enjoying it because they're enjoying it.
Well, that's why you get hackers in like GTA, right? They're just there to ruin other people's fun.
And you just think, can I get a refund for this? Because this isn't what I was promised.
Yeah. That's why I don't play GTA
Because-
Online, you know, like...
Because devs outright tell you, oh, we're going to prevent people from cheating, and yet somehow there's about 20 of them on at once.
I mean, part of the issue is that, like, it's kind of like a... it's like a arms race,
Yeah.
where they stop people from cheating a certain way, and then they find another way to cheat. That's the issue. Like, I'm getting the wrong
But
way.
this is where I think games like Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic Online,
Yeah.
really did it well because they isolated that
The PvP element.
elements.
Yeah.
so that people who don't want
Another village.
conflict
On the heights.
will
Yeah.
never get conflict.
Yeah.
Um,
There's like entire planets for it if you really enjoy it, but you can just skip
Yeah.
those.
and you've also got the fun of being able to, as we've done, having different classes coming into your story quest
Yeah.
and completely annihilating the PvE.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just wish they'd gone a bit further with it, where they added in dialogue so that the AIs. And
I know. I kind of get
the
it.
fact that you're not on your own,
Right. Okay.
so that they can see that you're with like 3 other Siths or whatever.
Yeah, that's just more effort than they're willing to put. Is like.
I know, but it would be great for immersion. Yeah, you know, for like when they were threatening Blue, saying, "Oh, you went into a Sith area without Sith authorization,
Yeah.
therefore you must be killed." When there was 2 Siths right there.
Well, to be fair, they were apprentices. You know, like. Yeah.
Must be where the whole party
But they
was.
still outrank all military
Yeah.
personnel, you know.
Yeah.
So technically he did have Sith authorization.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Just little
Lots of
changes
machines.
like that where it actually
All controlled by
reflects
the
the
killers.
situation
We sent
rather
a
than
stampede.
ignoring it would have been nice.
Maybe the war chief.
Yeah.
But as you say, I know
No one
why
managed
they
to take down
haven't.
the crafter.
It's
Suspected
just
food.
a shame that
Killers
they have
rested
the
here before
ability to
springing
do
the trap.
that and then don't react to it.
Yeah.
But not before the killers used it to send
And of
the
course,
machines against them.
Then you've got other things like the new Hogwarts game that's on mobile
Yeah.
has now added in romances,
Huh. I mean,
which require you to get relationship levels up to a certain point. Oh, and by the way, in order to do that successfully, you have to spend gems
no.
to buy these items that boost that skill.
Is it a mobile game then? Is it?
Yeah.
No.
And you just think, okay, so the base game's free.
All right. One
So I
sec.
get why you want to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
The dead and wounded all cleared away. Are there no more braves?
Ow.
or healers
That looks
here?
painful.
Just me. You're hurt. What happened?
I didn't. It's madness out there. War Chief Sona sent me back to report. I'm no good to her like this.
Varl told me that the war chief tracked the killers. Did she find them?
We followed their trail, but again and again they sent corrupted machines to attack us. My wounds started to slow me down, so the War Chief sent me back to let others know she hasn't given up the fight.
So, you were here when the war party was ambushed.
I was. I thought after the proving there could be no darker day, but I was wrong. The War Chief was delayed gathering the rear guard. Eager for revenge, the Braves in the lead fell into the trap. Dozens lost in minutes. If Sona hadn't arrived and rallied us, no one would have survived.
Alright.
Varl sent me to look for Sona.
All I can tell you is where we parted. Look to the rise behind it with May All Mother
Alright, cool. Yeah.
But I'd rather they make me pay for the game up front than hiding stuff behind a paywall.
Yeah. But that's how they get their money, isn't it, with mobile games? That's just...
Yeah, and it's the same with some of the manga sites. You know, I'll start reading a manga for free, and then it'll get up to like chapter 40, for example, of
Yeah.
a 300-page manga, and then it will suddenly go, oh, by the way, if you want to read the rest of it, that'll be 40 quid, please.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
At that point, what I tend to do is I just, like...
I go and look for it for free on another site.
Yeah, I use another app.
Because I just feel that that's dishonest, because you've done it to the point where you're heavily invested in the story by that point.
Well, yeah,
You
it's
haven't
like
done it
a...
at the beginning when you're trying out. You know?
Yeah, but it's like drug dealers, right? It's like give you a taste for free, and then like you gotta start paying for it now.
Yeah, but they usually do that after your first purchase, not when you're like 3 story arcs in, you know?
Yeah. I mean, maybe mangas are slightly less addictive, you know, so they've got to give you more product for free.
Tell that to my iTunes account where it's a
Oh dear.
majority use of my iPad. You know?
Well, that's why I go shop around for better apps, right? You know, like...
Because, you know, I don't mind some apps where they've gone, right, pay us £8 a month and we'll give you so much free.
Alright, one
That
sec.
I can get behind that, because it's going, right, you know, it's to keep our servers open. We're
Yeah.
not charging you for the manga itself, we're just charging you so that we can continue surviving. And I find
Yeah.
that more honest than charging me for every single product.
But what annoys me is like when you have to purchase by chapter, and I'm like, I don't want to spend that much money.
Yeah,
I'm fine with
this is
supporting
exactly-
you, but I'm not gonna pay a monthly amount when I'm only gonna get 4 chapters of whatever it is.
Yeah,
Like-
which is exactly what I showed you the other day when I sent you that link. That you have to keep constantly doing surveys or whatever to get free content.
Runner wasn't the only one who got hurt.
Yeah.
Even with the premium membership,
Might be a
they'll
good
have
trick.
ones where it's gone like, oh, you'll get 2,000
should try
gold
my
coins
focus.
a day. But
Yeah.
this particular artist has only asked for gems, and you can only get that by spending real money per chapter.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's 25 gems per chapter, and it's
Tracks.
£2 for 12 gems.
Yeah.
Like Sona and her braves.
And
headed
you're
for that
like,
ridge.
what?
Yeah.
That's more than a book would cost.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing, like, I don't mind spending money to support people, but there's a limit.
Yeah. Because by all means, charge me, say Amazon charges £8 for a comic.
Yeah.
Charge me £8 and I'll happily pay £8 for the entire thing. Because that's what I'd pay in an actual shop.
Maybe Sona took
Don't
it out.
charge me £8 for
She could be
6
close.
chapters. Because
Yeah.
you're profiteering at that point.
Yeah.
know?
Right, let's see, what's this?
Because I can get a 300-page book from W.H. Smith or wherever for like £10, and you're going to charge me more than that for...
I mean, I kind of get it. Like, you've got teams of people who've got to buy the original Japanese. You've got, you know, a person that's got to scan it in, clean it up. You've got to have a translator. So, like, I get that it does take time and effort to do all of that.
Yeah, which
But-
is why I said I'm happy to repay it every month,
Yeah.
you know.
But at the same time, it's just there's a price where it's just not affordable.
And even then,
All right,
there's
once.
also
Lucky
the-
I happened by.
All right, sorry, I don't mean
One
to
heartbeat
interrupt.
More, and that
Right.
sawtooth would have torn you apart.
I would have been fine.
Half a heartbeat more and I would have killed it myself. So you're War Chief Sona? Varl asked me to find you.
Has he held the gate?
He has, bravely. I saw him kill a corrupted machine himself. But he worries for you.
Our tribe needs strength, not sentiment. I've
There's
tried
no
to
reason
other
you
killers
can't
who
have
struggle
both.
proving. I crave vengeance. Do you?
You have no idea.
Show me then. Lend me your strength. Follow.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so it gets to a point where it gets prohibitive, you know, like...
yeah. And the thing is, half of these chapters they want you to pay for is so badly translated in the first place
Mm,
that you're having to do most of the work to try and work out what they're actually saying.
yeah, yeah.
I don't mean that in a nasty way, because I understand that if English isn't your first language, it's difficult.
Or it's like a really early translation or something, like...
And or you'll get ones where it's not even the most up-to-date
Yeah, yeah.
translation, because they haven't gone back and redone the page with the more accurate.
Yeah, that's why like I like the app that I use. It's got multiple sources, so like I can shop between the different versions of the different sites that have this one manga that, like, you know, I can find the most recent or the better one, or like the one that doesn't have the pages in a weird order.
Braves into hiding in the trees
Or
below.
bits of the
Unless
speech
signal
bubbles
will
cut
attack.
off completely.
The enemy
I've
will
even
demolish
had
machines
some where the
outnumbered.
pages are empty and it's just blank speech bubbles
Yeah. All right. Well.
for an entire page.
All right.
We'll have fury on our side.
We could have more than that.
Explain.
That's Blaze. What we used to burn, they used to blast. It's how they dug out this pit.
So we put fire to it and then?
Boom.
Then let us begin.
Whoa, wait. Let's not rush. Give me some time to make an approach. If I end up alerting them, open fire.
All right. Let's see what you can do.
Let's see how I can murder. Take that one.
Sorry, it was the delay. I would.
Yeah, no, I get that.
More than if I'd known.
We could technically do it via. What me and Star do is we stream it via Discord, so you could get a more up-to-date stream.
We won't worry about that today. We'll do that next time, because
Right.
otherwise you're going to be chopping and changing too much. But you know, and I'm sat there, and this was for a manga that I'd actually purchased that chapter.
Ah, shit.
And they quite clearly hadn't bothered to do anything with it, you know. And you just think, oh, I've spent actual money on that.
So much for stealth. Oh, I died. Alright, okay. Well, let's try that again then, shall we? Yeah. Like, that's
Or
why
they'll have
I do like
Sorry, go on.
having the apps that give you a choice.
Yeah. Speaking of, I was rereading a manga that I dropped a while ago because they finally started releasing
Yeah.
chapters.
What is it?
Peerless Battle Spirit.
I don't think I know that one. But there's a lot of peerless
it's-
ones. It's like...
It's
Peerless reincarnated
say-
hero. Peerless sword expert. Or it's like...
in other words, they were popular, so now we're gonna pump out loads of clones. But this guy is what I would officially class as a drug addict,
Right.
because he's had so many hundreds of millions of cultivation pills.
Yeah.
He would have, if he wasn't immortal, he would have already died by now.
Yeah, yeah.
that's just it. Part of why I struggle to remember which ones I'm reading or even what chapters I get up to is because they are all the same story.
Ah, shit.
Yeah, you were kind of screwed there, weren't you?
Yeah.
It's like they knew.
It's like I'm not good at stealth, you know.
Don't let it end like this. Fight!
Hero, your health is low. Oh god, that guild master.
Got him over here.
Where is he? Oh. Get out of the way. Ow.
But then there's a famous quote by somebody who I can't remember offhand,
Mm.
who was speaking about legends and stories and movies and things, where he said there is nothing new under the sun.
Oh yeah.
Because every story, every legend,
Has been told before, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, if you can find something truly original, that would be a miracle.
yeah, it's actually from the Bible. So,
Ow. Can you sod up?
I won't mention which passages are non-religious friends, but
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to be a Bible quote.
Ah, right.
I just remember that I think it was a film director from Hollywood in this sort of 40s and 50s who said it.
Right.
I want to say Hitchcock, but I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Heroes of the Thousand Faces. It's like, you know, everyone knows pretty much all of the stories because
Can't get
everything uses the similar structure because it works.
Yeah, and the thing is, its language as well is limited, so there's only so many ways you can
Yeah.
tell the same thing.
Yeah. So it's not surprising that like we go back to the same tropes, the same style of telling, like just because we know it works, you go with what works. Otherwise it just doesn't.
Well, I mean, this is why you get
This
retro
one all the
music,
kills.
for example,
I can't
making a
ignore the
comeback
war purpose
after
I have.
20, 30 years,
Who's
My
because
health is
No one
what is
doubts your
popular will be
determination.
She's right,
popular
War
again.
Chief.
Alright, one sec.
To those that haven't heard it before.
Val, what are you doing here? I ordered you to hold that gate with your life.
And so I did, until the runner you sent returned with news of his encounter with Aloy and your location. I left the gate well guarded. My place is here, with you, with our vengeance. Am I not owed that?
Oh, shoot.
Maybe I should have a look around, see if I can figure out where the rest of the killers are.
Do as you wish. Everyone else is.
Mother.
Oh, that one.
Salty mother.
Right. Right, yeah, carry on.
Commanders, over the past month
Ah, I
accidental
kind of
blaze
lost my train
explosions
of
have killed
thought
a dozen
because of the
men.
cutscene, but
Here in the Ring of Metal, I've taken the precaution of placing our entire stockpile in a
I
covered
was just
shelter,
basically saying
safe from stray
that,
sparks and lightning. And I
you know,
posted guards
popular
to control
things
access.
will research
I
because
urge
there's
you to
always
take
a
similar
generation
measures.
that's never heard of it.
Or suffer the consequences.
I think
Say like the
they
Beatles are
they
making a
do
comeback.
though, because like it's just told in a different way,
Sabotage that, and we win.
you know.
I mean, I must admit that I've wanted to slap some kids that were like, "Oh, Bohemian Rhapsody's only cool because Justin Bieber did it.
Ugh, yeah.
Queen are
The rest of the
Queen
heroes
are
are camped
ripping
inside
off Justin
a ring of
Bieber," and I'm
metal.
like,
Any idea what that means?
Well, I don't
someone needs to.
I don't blame them for not knowing the original, but like
Devil. I'll say.
Sounds like.
But when they accuse new artists of being copied by the original,
yeah, but like that comes from a place of ignorance. Come on. Yeah.
I mean, there was a TikTok of a teacher going around where she would play classic rock in her class,
Yeah.
and the first person to arrive at class every day would get to choose the music for next time.
Yeah.
And this one girl was like, "Oh, can we put on some really good classic rock?" And she was like, "Yeah, what do you want? Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, you know, that kind of stuff." And she went, "No, miss, classic rock, Blink 182.
Yeah. Bet that made her feel old.
Well, Blink 182 was alternative, it's never been rock.
Might need that.
So,
Until they deem it is, you know. It'd be like that gif of Tim Allen where he like turns into Santa Claus.
I mean, I don't know if you heard about Gene Simmons recently,
No,
but you know who he is, I'm assuming.
vaguely.
He was the lead singer of Kiss, the one with the really long
Oh yeah.
and he's blamed millennials for the death of rock.
Oh fuck off! Why does everybody blame millennials?
And I'm like, we are the millennials. We grew up with your music.
Like,
It's Generation Z who are the ones.
but like, don't blame them. Make some better fucking rock. Like,
Right?
make yourselves relevant. You know. Like, that's like going, oh, why has black and white film gone out of fucking trend? And it's like, well,
Right?
That must be the place there.
you know, because it's out of
I
date.
grew up with Kiss. They were one of my favourite bands, and they were the inspiration behind me wearing the goth makeup and the clothes when I was a kid, you know.
Yeah.
Because at that time, they were the classic goth band. It was only when millennials came out with death metal and things like that that goth became something different,
Yeah.
you know. And they are the founding father of the entire, or sorry, not the founding father, but a founding father of the entire modern metal and goth scene.
Mm.
So I don't understand how they can say they killed rock when it merely evolved.
Just evolves,
you
yeah.
know?
It's like when like Frank Sinatra got annoyed that the Beatles were replacing them, and it's like, well, that's just what happened. You know what I mean? Like,
Generations taste change.
yeah, like it's up to you to either try and change your style to go with it, or stay as you are and become irrelevant, or maybe just retire with grace. You know, like that's also an option.
Because for me, for example, I am not fond of modern dance music that's
I'm
played
glad
in
you
clubs
came.
and things like that.
You're glad.
Not
Why?
because it's
Call
not
it a share
catchy,
it.
it's just
And call me Nil.
I grew up
Look
when
there,
music was
those old-
different,
my still
and I prefer what I grew up with.
I don't know you.
Yeah.
trust is a rare.
Well, I feel like it's more like there's a time in your life where you are sort of, where you stay up to date with that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And for me, I stopped around the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Because I'd left college, I was starting to
So, like...
drift away from the clubbing scene and going out and partying.
Yeah, sorry, as I was saying.
I had other priorities.
It's like... Sorry, 1 second. Where is it? Fucking... There we go.
And I'm sorry, I thought you'd finished.
No, so like... The reason people sort of go... have their own tastes is because, like, they don't keep up with the trends. And I feel like keeping up with the trends is a lot easier if you are surrounded by people of your age group, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And obviously, because of those trends change, you kind of get used to what you grew up with. So when it shifts away from that, you're like, oh, this era was better, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so it's only at that point where you go, oh, I'm going to stop following it because I've got my preference now, you know? And which is why, like, if you had a younger brother or an older brother, their taste might be slightly different from yours, is because their developmental phase was at a different time. But, like, for me, personally, like, if a tune slaps, like, I'm like, yeah, that's great, you know? Like, I can't say for certain where I'll go, oh, I like all rock, because that's just not how it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
mean,
I like some pop. I don't like some pop. You know, like, that's just how it is.
Yeah. I mean, for me, there was a line in a Simpsons episode that says it best for me, which was, I used to be with it.
Yeah.
But then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with
isn't
it
it
anymore.
Yeah.
And what is it seems weird and scary.
Yeah.
It'll happen to you too.
Yeah, that was Grandpa.
And I don't think any wiser words have ever been said.
Yeah. That was Grandpa Simpson.
You know, when I first went from primary school and bands like, Alanis Morissette isn't a band, but she was the first one that popped into my head. And then I heard Disturbed for the first time, or Linkin Park, and I thought, what a load of crap noise that was. And then I'd hear more of it, and then I started coming round to it, because at first I couldn't understand what was being said or played because I wasn't used to it. Then the more I heard it, the more I was able to understand the lyrics under the music and things like that, and then my taste started evolving to include it, because I started to appreciate things that I didn't know were there.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like Linkin Park, I like Blink-182, I like fucking Muse or whatever. And, like, it's not for everyone. But it's the music at a time where I was at a developmental part of, you know, my childhood. And of course I'm gonna fucking love it.
Yeah.
But,
and
like,
you've got people...
I'm not saying that everybody has to love it, because they've got different tastes. You know, like, that's just how it is.
And then you've got people that are like, because you grew up liking metal and bands like Disturbed, you can't then years later go, oh, I like Taylor Swift, she's pretty cool. Because they brand you as some sort of traitor.
Yeah.
And you just think, well, no, I like music, I like talented artists, I'm not a one-trick pony, and neither are these artists.
Yeah.
You know. Because if everybody was all the same mold throughout their life, it'd be pretty boring.
Absolutely.
I mean, as a child, I absolutely detested bands like Led Zeppelin.
Finally.
Because I thought, oh, it's old fogey music, you know, because my parents liked it. Therefore, because my parents liked it, it can't be cool. But then I found as I was getting older, I was thinking back to the times when my dad would play it in the car as I was growing up, you know, to
And you start to like it.
or,
Yeah.
And I think, oh, I missed that song.
Yeah.
So then I put it on, and then I put on Fleetwood Mac, and because the nostalgia helps heighten my enjoyment of the music.
Yeah.
Because I realise in hindsight what I'd missed in the moment. Because I was so petty in the moment about what I wanted that I didn't stop to appreciate what I had.
Yeah.
And I just think for anyone that doesn't at least try other types of music, they're missing out.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been pretty chill when it comes to, you know, like what you like, you know. That's just how it is.
But then again, there are also things I wouldn't touch with a barge pole, not because I don't think it's good, but because I can't understand it, like opera, for example. I will never understand what they're singing, so it's boring to me.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of beyond me as well.
She's coming for us.
It's more because I don't speak the languages that they are singing in.
It's Italian, right?
It goes Italian or German or Spanish in some cases, but German and Italian tend to be major, or even Latin for some.
Seems excessive for it to be Italian. No, not Italian. For it to be in Latin.
You got to remember that when some of these were written, Latin was a common language.
But like, how did it become a dead language if it was so well used for so long?
Honestly, knowledge. It was in Latin because the Bible was in Latin.
But the issue is that like we still kind of use it, but we don't know how it's pronounced and whatever.
Or there's so many different meanings for the same word that it's hard to know exactly the context as well. But yeah, I mean, I know the history of it was down to the fact that the nobles didn't want to educate the population because they didn't want the peasants to revolt against the nobles.
Yeah. Well, that still occurs to this day, so you know.
Yeah. So that's why Latin was only ever taught to a handful of people, and I think that's why it ended up dying out, because they stopped.
Sounds like a certain organisation that you've joined.
Excuse me?
No? Does it not sound familiar?
It's in English.
Well, you know what I mean, like, they're so picky. They're so behind the times.
And they've openly admitted that in the last few years, and we're trying to change it.
Yeah.
And you're right, in many cases it's too little too late.
Yeah.
As much as I personally enjoy
Their
the parts of
winding ways, yeah.
Because I am a history buff, so the historical factor for me is what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
But like you say, without bringing younger people in, which they can't do because it's so archaic.
I thought I could pierce
Young
this.
people are like, what the hell is this? I think that's an alarm, isn't it?
Yeah, but you should be able to disable it somehow.
Unless
Well,
they've
like-
already set it off.
I mean, I don't remember them having done that, but that's just me.
I mean, they are all searching for you, so I assume they did.
Maybe.
You know, I like the symbolism of Freemasonry.
must be
I
the bandits'
understand why
prisoners.
it's done. I know what it represents because I took the time to study it,
Yeah.
both before I joined.
Get out the fucking
and
way. Not you.
Since joining, but you, for example, when
Yeah.
I've tried to discuss it with you, it bores the living crap out of you.
Yeah. It's because it's boring.
You weren't.
I'm interested in history, don't get me wrong, like...
And that's my point. It is so tied into a select pigeonhole of people.
Yeah, it's just super specific history, I guess.
When it first started, it was an open club.
Yeah.
Anyone could join.
It's like
Were
being
meetings-
super interested in, you know, Rome 2000 to 2010 BC, and only about this one emperor guy, you know, like...
Yeah.
It's like super
Because-
specific history. I'm interested in history in general, not like this one super specific guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I won't go into huge specifics for obvious reasons.
yeah,
But the majority of Freemasonry is about the building of one temple in Jerusalem. And that's it. The rest is all, we've
God's
raised
will.
money for charity, and this is how much we've raised, and
yeah,
these are the charities it's going to, and that is the entirety of the meeting.
yeah,
So I can understand why a lot of people found it boring and why they left.
yeah,
I'll be open and honest with you and say that after my initiation, I sat there for about 10 minutes when I got home and thought,
that was a waste of
that
time.
it?
Yeah,
but then I started going for the social aspect rather than the
Yeah.
meetings.
I get that.
And I'm enjoying it if I look at it as this is
Something
something
to
I
do.
have to do before I can enjoy myself.
So an obligation is what it's turned into.
Well, no, because
Wow,
I
yeah.
am. Well, no, because I'm not obligated to attend. I can leave at any time I choose.
But it is a kind of obligation, though.
Yeah, I mean, I mostly stay because I promised people I would do the work, you know.
Yeah.
And why join if you're not going to keep that promise? But yeah, I mean, I was hugely disappointed because I'd heard so many conspiracy theories
Yeah.
that I thought, oh, this sounds really cool and edgy and interesting and a riot every night, you know.
And then,
And then it turned into I'm barely staying awake.
yeah. And then boredom happened.
But I'm now an officer, so for me, it's different
Yeah.
because I'm no longer in the audience, not participating and just watching. I'm taking part, which has given me a purpose,
Yeah.
as in a purpose for me being there.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas if you're just sat watching everyone else do everything, you do end up starting to fall asleep because you've got nothing to focus on, you know?
Yeah.
That isn't to say that people shouldn't join
Off you
or
go.
should join. If it's something that you want theological discussions, You won't find it during the meetings, but there's groups you can join outside of the meetings where that takes place. You see what I mean? So there is something for everyone. But the trouble is, it's so boring on an academic level. When you first join, you have to earn your way into these groups. And for somebody young, or like yourself, if you've paid, say, £140 a year, you don't want to have to earn it because you paid for it.
Yeah, I mean...
Therefore, if I've paid for it, I'm entitled to it, right?
It's less about entitlement and more like, it's not for me, I guess.
Which is fair enough, and at first I thought it was something that it wasn't.
Right.
So I was desperate to join.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was something it wasn't.
Yeah.
I realised my mistake as I was going through the joining process.
Yeah.
But then I found that, frankly, if I don't go to meetings, I'm sat at home doing nothing anyway. So I might as well go.
Yeah.
Just to get out the house.
Yeah.
In my particular case at first. And then I found the more I got to know the people at the dinner table, the more I was looking forward to seeing them again. Because underneath the boring side of it, there was a enjoyment of spending time with like-minded individuals.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there are probably more interesting ways that could happen. Like joining a D&D group or something, you know, like...
And costs a damn sight less too, but let's not...
Well, unless you're buying all the fucking D&D books, then yeah.
Well, no, because in a group you only need one person to buy the books, the rest of you just share them.
That's true enough.
But I guess...
Get out the fucking way.
If I'm completely honest, that a lot of my continued membership is down to the fact that I work so hard to become a member.
Yeah, you're here now. Sunk cost fallacy.
That my brain is in the, I'm not gonna give in, you bastards.
It's not gonna go to waste. I've already spent 500 quid on this fucking place. Yeah, the sunk cost fallacy. That's literally what it's called. Like I'm invested.
May I speak with you?
I spent 10 years of my life doing all this research.
Let's see. Valuable to merchant.
Are you gonna tell me that if I leave the membership, all that research is for nothing?
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. Like, can I get a refund? Like, you know, like, for everything that I've paid for, including the gowns and.
Which makes me realise why a lot of these conspiracy theorists, ex-Masons, do what they do, because they know the books will sell, and that's how they get the money back that they spent on the.
Yeah, I mean, like,
first place.
that's why they do different editions. Is that like,
right?
They can go, oh, we can sell them the same books again.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, but we'll add an extra page in it, so that'll make it seem like a whole new book.
Yeah. Alright. What was it?
Honored.
Are you alright?
Yes. My friends and I watched they would steal from us.
So, you know, I wouldn't necessarily have changed the fact that I joined.
How did you come to be an
I
activist?
have learned a lot.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't what I was expecting, I would just have changed how much it bothered me at the start.
Yeah.
Because you know what I went through, I won't go into the details.
Yeah.
Because it is changing, so there's no point in flogging a dead horse.
Yeah.
You know, I'm helping it change. I hope.
Find out. Find out.
But
Yeah.
there is also a lot of misinformation that still bugs me, even today,
Yeah.
where they say, oh, women can't join, when there's actually 2 separate Grand Lodges for women alone in the UK. And that's just
I mean,
the
I
UK,
guess
and-
it's specifically depending on which lodge you're looking to. I mean, there are some that have those prerequisites.
No, I mean there are actual 2 organisations that are run by women for women.
Right.
That are Freemason organisations that do exactly the same as the men do.
But like, I
And
don't know
that's
why it
one
needs
more
to
than
be.
men have, you know.
I just mean like, I don't know why it has to be female specific.
It doesn't. They chose it to be.
Right. Okay.
I can tell you why it's generally done, because it isn't one of the secrets.
Okay.
Because it's a part of the initiation ceremony, which is actually widely known,
Okay.
which is why I can tell you.
1 sec.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Cutscene.
I didn't find your...
They killed him.
Oh.
I hardly feel surprised. He was already... I thought he and I were agreed. No great loss. Nothing in the wilds I can't handle, just me and the voice of our teeth here.
Your bow has a name.
Yours doesn't?
Again.
You're not just a traveler. That armor was fitted for you. And the way you hold your bow.
I said a concerned traveler. I was a soldier. But
He's
I was
Karja,
a soldier
I think.
longer than there was a war, if you follow. Where the arrowhead passes between armor and skin, that's the place I belong. So I make opportunities to find it. That's why I'm coming.
Have you ever thought about hunting machines?
You're actually at the part of the
They
game
don't
I
get that
got
look
to.
in them.
Yep.
Did bandits wrong you somehow?
They wrong us all. They live filthy lives, so they have to die that way too.
So you hunt them down to help others?
No. For sport. I can't wait for wars anymore. Life's too short and the thrill of death too sharp. If you kill a tribesman, there'll be retribution. Hunt a boar, they complain if you waste the meat. But bandits, they're vicious. They always put up a fight, and no one cares if you kill them.
He's basically Dexter.
I
Alright.
guess you're doing the right thing for the wrong reason.
I'm doing what I love. And what could be wrong with that?
We're
Alright.
done here.
Bye now.
Here? I'm afraid so. You wouldn't let that infectious.
Maybe.
If we pass each other by,
I mean, sorry, I was just because lag.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So, I can tell you this bit because even comedians have made a massive parody out of it, like Hale and Pace.
Good for an old lady.
During the ceremony, while you're blindfolded, a man will expose his right breast
Right.
or left breast, depending on which ceremony it is. So of course women didn't want men present.
Okay.
Now historically it was done because when Freemasonry was founded, women couldn't work as labourers
Right.
on the quarry sites. So
Okay.
it was done to prove you weren't a woman.
Okay.
Um,
So now that women can join, they could just get rid of that tradition entirely.
well, no, I mean they still do it in their lodges.
No,
they just
I
have
know.
a female-only audience because it's. I agree with you. There are some mixed lodges in the world. France was very famous because Napoleon Bonaparte's wife was the first ever French female Mason.
Huh.
And that's my point. It was that long ago that women were able to start joining Freemasonry.
Yeah.
So quite where this modern day attitude of we don't accept women even now in 2020 has come from I don't understand.
Got
It's
it.
not that we don't allow women, it's that the men lodges and the lady lodges don't mix. Unless
I don't know
it's,
why though.
Because the ceremonies will make women uncomfortable being around men.
Okay, so make the ceremonies, you know, one-gendered.
Military camp.
But like, it doesn't mean the entire lodges need to be separate, right?
Oh, I'm grateful for this wound.
I mean,
It's a
that's
lesson I
just the
won't
way
forget.
they have
How's
said
that?
themselves
check-
they prefer it.
Where can I find them? Just you're a
I'm all
just
for mixing it.
Here's
Because, you know, it wasn't that long ago that disabled people couldn't join.
Yeah. I don't know, it just seems like they're finding excuses to not integrate.
Well, that's just it. There has to be consent from both the ladies and the men, and it's the ladies who are pushing back.
Like,
well
there
as
are
the men.
concessions that can be made, you know, like...
Yes, and I agree that I think
come here,
because
Carl.
they can
Let's have a look
modify
at
the
you.
rituals that a disabled person
I've
can
got you
join,
sighted.
they can modify it so that a
Sunflowers
lady
belong
could
to
join.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is possible.
You're the seeker.
Right.
The one who is an
However,
outcast.
that is not
I wish-
Did you?
my personal decision to
Tell me
make.
what you have not.
I have to abide by the rules that are put upon me.
Yeah.
My own damn fault.
And
For the god
when
I
we
accept.
spoke with the Order of Women Freemasons and the HFAF, I'm not quite sure what that stands for,
Right.
which is the other one that is a lady-only lodge.
Well, I hope you
They said we would prefer
See
not
anything?
to be in the men's lodges. However,
I guess
there
you
are
can't argue
open-
with that.
There are open meetings
Yeah.
that we hold that we do integrate.
Yeah.
You know, like festivals and dining nights and things like that. It's just... I guess it started out as a, you know, a bit like women have the Women's Institute that men
Well,
can't
Yes.
join. It was a place for men to be around other men. And there's a
Yeah.
place for women to be around other women. Without the pressures of the opposite sex.
Yeah. Where am I?
And
Mods?
I understand it from a point of discrimination because, as I said, it wasn't that long ago that disabled people weren't admitted.
Yeah.
However, are you seriously telling me that there aren't sometimes you'd rather only be around men? Or sometimes that women, you know, like boys' night out, girls' night out. How is that any different?
Well, I'm not the head of an entire organisation.
But you see what I mean? It's
To a point. To a point. Like, within the organisation,
meetings
you can still set up events that are specifically gendered or whatever. You know, like...
we do have events that are mixed. That's what I'm saying. It's just our monthly meetings are separate.
But they're just general meetings, though. Like, nothing in those meetings require it to be specifically gendered, surely.
Not in my experience, no.
Exactly.
Which is why I said I'm not against the idea of co-integration. Because, you know, they have gone through the same ceremonies we have. They've earned it the same way we have. They
Yeah.
pay their dues the same way
Yeah.
we do. In fact, in many cases, they're probably more intelligent than we are.
Yeah. Let's see. Fire and normal. I don't know which one's better.
It's just lauded as one of the last bastions of tradition.
I feel like tradition's overrated, but that's just me.
But then if traditions die out, they're no longer a tradition.
Have traditional
Like-
events, like... I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, that just to clarify, that wasn't me disagreeing with you. That was just me playing devil's advocate.
No, I get it. It's just
Because you've known me for many years, and you've known I always stood up for what's right to a point.
Yeah.
Because I can't actually stand up. But,
Yeah. Let's see. That does more damage. That does additional fire damage.
It's just that I can see both sides of the coin on this particular issue.
Yeah.
But you're right, there is nothing within the ceremonies themselves that state it has to be men only. Other than the oath of obligation that states, I will not commune with females.
That's weird to me. Like, why hasn't it been changed? Like,
Well, you are a when I
I don't know. Like, maybe it's just like they haven't gotten round to it. Like, a lot of it is down to, I feel like, is down to people being lazy. Where like change has happened, and like they either don't want to be the ones that deal with it, or they're misogynists and they don't want to obviously deal with it. But at the same time, it's like, well, surely there's someone that would be fine with doing that job.
Yes, and based on countries like not countries in terms of Europe, but countries like America
Do you try
and some parts of Europe do have mixed integration.
Yeah.
And have had mixed integration for centuries.
Yeah.
So I do understand where people are coming from. It can be done.
Yeah.
It is down to the few stubborn people who won't.
I find that like it's a lot of using it as an excuse to not do it. Like it.
I mean, at the risk of sounding unpopular and potentially getting thrown out of the organisation.
Well, then don't say it. You know, like...
One of our biggest issues as members is lack of new members coming in.
Yeah.
When if we opened the door to females, or even lowering the age of entry,
Yeah.
we could recruit so many more people.
Yeah.
That membership would no longer be an issue.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, the reason that a lot of these conspiracies exist even to this day is because we are so blinkered by tradition.
Yeah.
That we are not adapting with the modern age.
Must have caused a stampede.
Yeah.
And if you don't adapt, you die.
Yeah.
Having said that, as I've stated repeatedly, and I'm stating again for the official record, these are not opinions that matter, in the sense of I have no control over what's going to happen. I cannot state for the record any official viewpoint.
Yeah. You don't speak
just
for the entire
stating it.
lodge. Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm just stating it as a human being to a human
As
being.
a personal opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. But like,
Which
these
is
are
why
all
they
like
could get me in trouble, but
these are all reasonable opinions, though. That's the thing. Like, I don't see why you would be in trouble or should be in trouble because of it.
because we're not meant to speak openly without discussing it with the higher ups first. To be frank. Or at least without more years of experience behind us, as they put it. I have actually gone through Freemasonry ambassador training.
Right.
To override these machines.
Which is basically where we're taught how to deal with members of the public when they ask us questions on the Brotherhood. But none of what I've said has been expressly forbidden. It's
Right.
just frowned upon to suggest, if that makes sense.
You're not gonna be the one to stop.
Because they enjoy sticking to the status quo.
Yeah.
Which, as I say, for people who want to just be around men for an evening once a month, I can understand why they want that status quo to continue. But at the same time, you then can't complain that we're not getting enough people joining.
Yeah.
Because it's counterproductive. Either you involve more people you're excluding so that membership opens out,
Yep.
like America has done, like Europe has done, or you stay the same and watch it wither.
Yeah. But like, surely being a part of an organization, you want what's best, right? Like, I guess the definition of what's best changes, but like, if it dies, it's not what's best for the organization.
Exactly. And I understand that Freemasonry started out as a group of men who wanted to help other men. But society changed and adapted, and the Brotherhood didn't. Yes, we're one of the world's largest charitable contributors. We're larger than the National Lottery in that sense, believe it or not.
I mean, I guess that's easy if
However-
you're rich.
Well, not every Mason is rich.
Yeah. I mean,
No,
you're a
I
prime
am.
example, aren't you, really?
No, I am rich. It's my name.
I am, yeah. I'm rich in theory. I'm rich in, yeah. Oh, how am I supposed to get up here? Sorry, 1 second.
I don't think you are you?
Well, I'm supposed to be finding these guys. Oh, okay.
But
You're that
there we
brave
go.
who was outcast. What are you doing here?
Your friend Den told me to come find you. Why are you
I
up
thought
there?
it said press
The
Y to
Sawtooth
summon
ripped our
them.
packs
Yeah,
from us. Me.
there you go.
Us.
Yeah, 1 sec.
Without weapons, this was the best we could manage. Thank you so much for destroying it. Now we can...
I didn't. At least, not your...
We'll go back on our own.
Cool. Alright, yeah. Oh, gotta go all the way back up. Jesus. Okay. I guess I'll go to
Because
that
when
one.
Freemasonry started out, it was the old stonemason guilds.
Yeah.
And only men were allowed to be stonemasons, so it made sense. Then when people stopped using stone to build, they opened it out to men who were not professional stonemasons, but academic types like poets and...
I don't know, like, why is it only the stonemasons that have something like this, though?
It wasn't. There was carpenter guilds, there were other guilds.
But, like, you don't get, like,
Rotary
fucking
Club is one of
conspiracy theories about the fucking Rotary Club, you know, like... ruling the
I
world.
can tell you about how the conspiracy theory started if you really want to know.
I just mean, like, it's just so weird that, like, you're not gonna get, like...
Like I said, if you know the story behind it, it's not weird. I can tell you the story if you want, but I don't want to bore you.
That's true. Watch me sleep on stream.
Let's just say it had something to do with the Catholic Church and leave it at that.
Yeah. What happens when you have power?
Basically, we had money, the Catholic Church wanted it, we said no, they started banning us.
Yeah. As is the way. Find the ring and... Alright, 1 second.
Then one determined intellectual said, I don't like the Masons, they turn me down, and I hate the Catholic Church because they're all superstitious arseholes.
I mean...
His words, not mine.
I mean... It's hard to argue.
So he decided that he was going to get his own back on both groups at once by writing.
Oh
a
yeah,
detailed,
yeah, you
revealing
told me.
book.
Yeah.
See anything yet?
I don't know if you read the article I sent you, but
It's been a while, but yeah. Let's see, sell that, sell that.
and he was one of the first people to confirm that humans are dumb and will believe whatever they're told.
To be fair, I don't
Told
need.
it's fake.
Yeah, I don't need a guy to tell me human beings are dumb. I already
No,
know that
but
from experience.
It just made me laugh that it was literally a hoax, but it got so big that people still to this day believe it.
It's like flat earthers, right? Like,
Well,
I mean,
I'll be
what was the
honest.
whole Renaissance about, and Galileo, and I thought we settled this all in
Well,
1500.
do you know how the Renaissance came to be?
Yes, it was a group of intellectuals fighting against the superstition of the Catholic Church.
Yeah, but
Again.
that's because they were. They've started educating the masses, and it meant that a lot more people can actually contribute ideas and whatnot to society. Like, that's the only reason the Renaissance happened. And what that also means is that all these years of fucking suppressing the lower classes and not educating them is detrimental to us as a mankind.
Yes.
Because we just want fucking money and power. And it's like, can we not do that?
Well, I mean, look at the whole Trump nationwide
that's what I
divide
mean.
and Brexit, you know.
That's what I mean. Like, that's just the latest incarnation of that exact same thing. It's like,
Good. I can use this.
Forever repeat itself. And that
Yeah.
is the problem.
people don't learn from history, doomed to repeat it and whatnot.
It's actually a very famous quote. I can't remember who said it, but I do remember it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Especially in this day and age where you're spouting equality on your lips, but then doing the opposite with your actions. It's like,
What
make
flabbergasted me was the NFL going, oh, we're all for equality here, when like they banned what's his face for kneeling, and it's like, you fucking what? Are you having a laugh?
wasn't it his constitutional right to do a non-violent protest?
It was absolutely, and they called him a traitor for it. And it's like, well, he did exactly what you wanted, which was to find a non-intrusive way of protesting an injustice. And he even like asked a veteran, because he was like, I want to protest, but I don't want to dishonor, the troops.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, kneeling is, you're prostrating yourself in front of someone else, and that is an honorable act. You know what I mean? Like,
the penitent man shall pass before God.
Yeah, and they still got him fired from his team. The NFL was like, blah, blah. People were calling him traitor. Like, it's insane. It's because they just don't want to know about injustice at all, whatsoever. If it bothers them or inconveniences them in some way, it's like, God.
It's not like he took the American flag and set it on fire in the middle of the national anthem,
Absolutely. They would have probably crucified him if that was the fucking case. Like, ugh, yeah.
And frankly, because I'm a member of a military lodge, I sit with a lot of servicemen. And some of the servicemen I've spoken to over the years have turned around and said, this isn't what I fought for.
Absolutely. And, like, people always pay lip service to, like, the vets. Like, in America, they've got, like, some sort of weird hero worshipping
Thank you
donor.
for your service, yeah.
No, I mean, I'm all for thanking people for
Yeah,
their
but I mean
service.
to the point where they
If I can't find
almost
something,
deify.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
we can
yeah,
focus.
absolutely. But at the same time, when it comes down to it, where they're like, "Oh, can we give mental health support for veterans, please? Can we, you
Or
know,
at least
maybe
a new
pay them
house,
better?
or
Yeah, maybe pay them better, make sure they don't go homeless." They go, "No, suddenly we don't have the budget for it," despite the fact that they've got $1 trillion fucking military industrial complex that makes
and not to
people,
mention
that
more
makes
tanks and bombers and
that makes arms manufacturers like so much fucking money, and they've got a defense budget that's higher than the next like 20 nations combined. Like, they have the money, they just don't want to spend it on anything that doesn't earn them a profit.
yeah, like the pharmaceutical industry, for example, when he raised the HIV
Yeah.
cost.
That was Martin Scorelli. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is insane to me that like that much happens, and it's like, ugh. Like, it's pretty transparent what you're trying to do. Like, you're not fooling anyone. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. That's why it's known as corporate America.
yeah, where money rules. Where the hell is this ring?
And then you've got people going,
That's
oh,
it?
it's the
Yes,
American
yeah.
dream for immigrants to go over to America and make it big. Yet the second an immigrant tries to do that, they're the bad guy.
Well, the thing is they don't. What they don't tell you is the American dream is only for white American conservatives. And what's weird is the Americans have a really weird habit of taking a saying, cutting off the actual meaning, and using it as a positive. Like, we call them Yanks. We call them Yanks because, like, the Yankee Doodle had a farm. You know, that rhyme.
Yankee Doodle Dandy, yeah.
Yeah. Saying that you're stupid. You know, you're
About
putting...
the American that came to England and thought he was the peacock because
Yeah.
he, you know... Yeah.
The idea is we're calling you stupid, and you're, like, just taking it and running with it. Like, the representation of the Democrats and the Republicans of the elephant and the donkey, that was from a satire cartoon.
Yeah.
Another one is pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. Like, a lot of people use that saying to go, oh, this is how you make it in America, right? And the original saying... Well, the original saying is that pulling yourself up by the bootstrap is physically impossible. Like... and, like... Oh, the other one that the police love to do is one bad apple. And they're cutting out the rest of the phrase, which is spores the entire bunch.
Yes.
Meaning that, you know, if you have one shitty apple, that's going to poison the entire bouquet. And you're going to have to just start from scratch. But time and time again, it's been proven that the American police, it's not one bad apple. They're all bad apples. Like, there's so many... There are many... Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but my point hasn't finished being made yet. But, like, there's been evidence of just police officers who have, you know, stopped their colleagues from shooting someone, reported corrupting, you know, behavior or whatever, and they get fired because they did that. And it's like, well, you can't say it's just one bad apple. The entire fucking bunch is just rotten to the core. There was one good apple, and you excised them. And it's like, what the fuck?
That's literally the opposite of what you're meant to do.
Yeah.
And the fact is, those bad apples probably learnt it from the people that taught them.
But the thing is there is a way of making sure that it's good. And that is, A, recruiting more intelligent people, B, making the requisites more stringent, C, having longer training in law, in, you know, de-escalation tactics and things like that, that you can improve that. But they don't want to because the police work for the rich. Like, that's...
Yeah. I mean,
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
I don't remember the name of the officer in particular, because I read this a while ago, but I remember that there was a police officer that said he couldn't wait till he started his job as a police officer,
right,
so that he could go and shoot black people.
Right.
Because it made international headlines.
Like, and that's typically the stuff that they just don't say out loud. So it's still a bloody thing that happens. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what terrified me was the story where, like, a European was in the US and they were pulled over by a American cop, and they're like, okay, hi officer, what do you want? Like, and like, as the conversation went on, the officer was getting more and more frustrated, and at the end of the conversation, the partner came along and go, how come you weren't intimidated by my partner? And he goes, well, I'm from Europe. You know, they're like, police officers try to help you, generally speaking. You know what I mean? Like, they're not there to...
Tasty.
Sorry, I'm just trying to kill this boar.
They're literally a public service.
Yeah. Which is when they realised, like, the reason that they were pulled over was because that copper wanted to get their jollies off on threatening a fucking civilian. And you're like, what the fuck is with these guys? You know what I mean? Like...
I mean, I went to America a few years ago, as you probably remember.
Yeah.
Because I remember messaging you while I was in the States.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was stopped twice by the police. I don't know if I told you.
Yeah.
First time I was scared out of my mind because it was about 1 o'clock in the morning and I was walking from my friend's workplace back to his house because I'd spent the day with him while he was working.
Yeah.
And he turned out to be a very nice officer who gave us a lift to a hotel room and made sure we were all right and everything else.
Yeah.
And,
great. Fantastic.
You know, that
Love
was
it.
a very pleasant experience, and that's what it should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
The second time I was stopped was a couple of days later.
Right.
I was on a train.
Yeah.
And a police officer came in.
Yeah.
And he noticed I was visibly nervous.
Yeah.
Now, I was visibly nervous because he had his gun out on show.
Yeah.
On his hip.
Yeah.
And, as you know, being
We're
an
Brits.
Englishman,
Yeah.
we've never seen a gun in our life.
Don't typically, yeah, you're correct, yeah.
Well, sorry, in my case, I've certainly never seen an active firearm.
The only time I've done that is I was at Heathrow and the policemen were carrying MP5s. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. You know what I mean?
I knew they were when I was at Heathrow, but I didn't actually physically witness it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen shotguns at, like, the little fairs you have that shoot the...
Yeah.
Pellets, you know.
Yeah,
but not a real live, will kill me if this person
Yeah,
wants to. And he said that the reason he was stopping to talk to me was because I was suspicious, because I was nervous.
Well, you have a fucking gun.
You have a gun, and I'm from a country where guns aren't commonplace. Yeah.
The thing is what's ridiculous is some of the, like, rulings that the US have, which is like, Oh, police don't have to know the law. Like, wait, what? They don't need to know the law to enforce it? How does that fucking work?
I don't know if you're aware, but it was only recently, in the last couple of years, that the state Supreme Court said that being nervous when you're stopped by a police officer is not grounds for arrest.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be. Like, you don't know what that police officer's gonna be like. And you don't know what, like, previous records they've got, because the police departments go, through really stringent effort to try and bury it. Like...
And not only that, if you're a genuinely law-abiding citizen, you'd be nervous when you're stopped by a person of authority, regardless of whether you've done something.
But, like, there are so many police officers that have had their records buried, despite the fact that they've, you know, killed civilians. And it's like, how do you expect me to trust that?
I mean,
I'll be off.
in some cases, I can understand, say, justifiable causes where
if it's
the
one,
suspect really did
sure. If it's
weapons,
it's the one, sure. But if you've got a record of repeatedly doing it, you know, that's completely different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing for me was that I've got a friend who was in the army. He's quite high up in the army in terms of rank.
Right.
And he was sent over to Northern Ireland in the 80s during the whole bombing campaign.
Yeah, that would be rough.
He had fire bombs thrown at him and all sorts. And he turned around a couple of days ago and said to me, because I started learning about murder in law school.
Yeah.
He said, I was presented with 2 opportunities to kill somebody.
Right.
Or I could legally have killed someone and got away with it. But I didn't pull the trigger.
Yeah, because, you know, he's not a fucking psychopath.
And this person turned around and said, for you to want to kill somebody full stop, you have to be mentally incompetent.
Like, that's why it's so weird that, well, technically in the US, like, if you join the army strictly for the chance to kill someone, they typically don't allow you to join. I say typically because, you know, there are people who are good at hiding it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like people who join the army just to fire guns or for the chance to kill people. And it kind of reminds me of, like, the insurrectionists in the US that stormed the Capitol, is that, like, or the, you know, the white nationalists in the US, the domestic terrorists that they've got, is that they've got all of these, you know, vests, and they've got all of these guns, and they're like, yeah, we're patriots. If you try to take our guns away, we'll murder you, blah, blah, blah. We'll fight for our freedom. And it's
Which
like...
is against the law in and of itself.
But, like, the reason they're doing that is because they think guns are cool. And don't get me wrong, to a point, I kind of get it. I like pretending. I like the pew-pew.
I mean, it's why I collect samurai swords and
it's
things,
like,
you know,
it's why I play Call of Duty. But, like, there's a time and a place for that. And threatening to kill someone because you have a, let's say, immature mindset is not the right place for it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because I mean, the thing that fascinates me about the right to bear arms is that this was written into the Constitution when it was muskets, and it would take so long to
it's for
load
militia.
the damn thing. Yeah. By the time you loaded, you'd calm down.
Yeah, if you had machine guns back then, fucking hell, man. Like,
and you know, I understand arming yourself for the defense of your nation in a militia sense.
Yeah.
I support that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
You know, because you never know when a war is going to break out.
Yeah.
What I don't support is stockpiling because you can.
And, like, compounds and like anti-government things because reasons. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you go to your typical white nationalist guy and go, why is a big government bad? They won't give you an excuse. They'll just go, it just is. And it's like, what? Are you saying this because, like, people are telling you it's bad? Have you thought about why it might be bad? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't have a legitimate response other than, this is my stance for whatever reason.
Yeah. I mean, take what's happening in England, for example. I absolutely despise Conservatives for Brexit.
Yeah.
I absolutely despise them for their repeated attempts to lower the disability living allowance, wages and other things like that. Because it's not our fault we're in the positions we're in.
It's weird that they think disabled people are lazy when they can't fucking do anything. Like, they can't physically do it.
And I'm trying to get a job, but people won't hire me because I'm disabled.
Yeah.
You know, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go out there. I'm going to threaten to kill, you know, Boris Johnson or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I understand that you can dislike a person's policies and dislike a person, but you don't have to act on them.
Yeah, and like, maybe I wouldn't cry if something happened to Boris Johnson, but I'm not going to actively go and make it happen.
Exactly, but the trouble with an American government in the way that it's been ratified, there is nothing to stop somebody buying a gun and doing just that, because it is within the law to buy the weapon.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I understand
that responsible gun owners aren't like that, but you got to remember that it isn't the responsible ones we're targeting.
Yeah, absolutely. And like a lot of what a lot of stuff in the US makes sense if you look at it simply from a money earning point of view.
Yeah. And the other thing is that, and I'll say this as a law student in general, the way the courts and the legal system work is it's on the letter of the law, not the spirit in which the law was intended.
Yeah.
Because quite often you will only look at what the law says exactly and not the situation in which the law was created. This is why precedents are constantly being added.
But surely, if it's written because something happened, that's the precedent, right?
That's what I just said. It's added after the fact. But it takes somebody
quick way down,
courageous enough to
Test
make
it.
that first move.
Yeah. To test that waters.
And that's the problem. Because we're taught not to deviate from the design. We're taught that you're supposed to only go by what's in front of you, not by your opinion. As lawyers, and in some cases that's absolutely right because it's an impartial judgment. But in other cases, how can the law be classified as justified or even just if you don't question it?
Oh, one sec. That looks pretty. Don't know if you're there yet.
Devil's Grief. Foreboding sight, huh?
Don't you ever wonder what it used to look like?
Now I am.
Back when the old ones lived here.
You're not like other Nora.
That's what they tell me.
War Chief? Our scouts found enemy camps in the ruins, guarding the approach to the Ring of Metal.
Then we should hit those camps first. Make sure they stay quiet.
Agreed. Wipe out the camps, and our enemies in the Ring of Metal won't see us coming.
I'll take out the alarms.
We'll send Braves to each camp to lie in wait. What you start, they'll help finish.
Alright.
I'm still in the cutscene.
Yeah, that's fair.
There we go.
Yeah, this map is huge. But yeah, I don't know, like, I guess you've got to be careful when you're setting precedents.
Yeah, and the trouble is that there are so many opportunities where things could have been changed, and they aren't. And the trouble is, people criticise you heavily either way. If you do change it, they criticise you because they like the old way. But if you don't change it and something even worse happens as a result, they criticise you for not changing it.
My issue normally is like when they design something with a deliberate like loophole or something, and like they don't patch it up.
Yeah. Take the disability switch over to PIN, for example. When that first happened, it caused a rise in suicides. Disabled people suddenly had all their income stripped from them because an arbitrary number-making decision that didn't even make sense. There was a lady that had stage 4 terminal cancer that was pronounced fit for work who died a week after the result of her cancer.
Yeah.
Because the number system was flawed.
But like, I don't know whether that's deliberate incompetence or whether that was malicious design. And then nobody makes an effort to change that. Like, that flabbergasts. You know what I mean?
There are still people that are suffering because of it.
Yeah. Like you not getting back paid.
Yeah, well, don't go there. It's only because you want my money.
No, but you know what I mean, like...
Yeah, telling me when I signed up that I'd get it back paid to the date of the application, then 14 months later when it's completed they went, oh sorry, we can't backdate it.
Bleed for the shadow.
It's like, what? That's not what you told me.
Yeah. Ow.
I mean, I even phoned them up and asked them at 6 different occasions and they all said, you will be getting back pay every time I ask.
Yeah.
Keep them in front of you.
And then lo and behold, on the day of the first paycheck, when over £12,000 of the back pay was missing,
Yeah.
all of a sudden it was,
Oh, we didn't
the
say
government
that.
won't-
Yeah.
The government won't let us do that, so we never said that.
Yeah. That's why you should record. I don't know,
And
maybe
it's
I'm just
things like
naive
that
or something, but it's like...
That are my pet peeves, to be honest. This is why I started becoming a lawyer in the first place.
Yeah.
Because I was fed up with people pulling stunts like that.
Yeah.
I mean, in my case, the extra money would have been nice, but I've lived so long without it that I can manage.
But the thing is, it's like, it's due to you. It belongs to you. Like, it
Well,
wouldn't have been
belongs
an
to me
issue.
when I receive it, but yeah.
It doesn't... It's... The issue isn't that, like... they've not given it to you. It's that it was promised to you. And they're not holding up their word. If they had never promised it to you in the first place, that wouldn't be a thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
Like,
I mean, yeah, the principle of the matter, as they say, which I fully agree with. But the trouble is, it would take so much fighting for me to get what was mine in the first place that I just can't do it. I just don't have the energy to go through it.
yeah.
because you know I already have health issues without stress.
Yeah, additional stress. Oh, you suck.
Thank you.
No, not you.
No, I know what you meant. It's just caught up, but you were so close to sneaking that time.
Right? Yeah, I just wasted a decent one.
I mean, in the case of our government, I know their jobs aren't easy at the moment with COVID and other things like that.
Something tells me
But
the politicians are alright.
I mean in terms of legislation and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I will never forget that they spent public money on second homes and dog food and...
Oh, yeah.
And I just think these were the people that stood up in the Houses of Parliament saying that disabled people are sponging off the people.
Right. There's no self-awareness there.
And I was there like, I could understand their point if I was there going, I want a solid gold toilet seat because my bottom is too regal for an ordinary plastic one.
Yeah.
You know, but
like, but I need a third holiday home.
or my dog has to have the latest posh organic.
It's not even that, like.
And yet, all I was asking for was somebody to come in my house twice a day to help me, so that I don't slip and fall over whenever I turn the shower on, for example.
My issue is, like, they're billing the public for, like, curtains, for, like, renovations, and that shit costs tens of thousands of dollars. Well, pounds.
Did you hear the riot that went on?
What riot?
Within the House of Lords.
No.
It's well documented. There was a riot because they wanted to get rid of the TV room.
What?
Because they felt that the House of Lords shouldn't have a TV room at their workplace.
I think that sounds good.
Work.
Yeah. Sounds good to me. My work doesn't have a TV room.
Because it could be used as a second office or a storage area, you know.
Yeah.
But there was a massive tantrum because, oh, we want to be able to watch the tennis.
Oh, fuck off. See, that's what I mean. Like, you need common people to represent common people. That's why...
Well, that's why we have the House of Commons.
But
even then, we don't really have common people representing...
That's what I mean, like... yeah. I hate it all.
Because, do you know how much it costs me to have someone to come in to help me clean my flat because there's things I can't physically
Fire
do?
the signal! Now!
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you know how much it costs for someone to come in and clean my flat because there's things I can't physically reach and do?
No.
£20 an hour.
That's not surprising. Basically having an assistant. But it's like...
But the amount I'm paid is less than that.
Yeah. Like, but this is something that the government should be paying for. Like...
This is my point. This is what I'm trying to say.
Well, there should be, like, government helpers. That would technically mean it's cheaper, you know.
But there'll be a government fund to bail out the banks, for
Yeah,
example.
absolutely.
and yet people that actually need physical help for things get no money.
Yeah.
Or that isn't what the budget's for. You know, my disability pension is my primary income most of the time. And I actually got yelled at by the benefits office because I said to them, how can I pay my bills with it and afford a new wheelchair, for example? And they said, oh, but we pay you this disability pension for you buying the new wheelchair. You're not meant to use it for your bills. And I'm like, but it's literally the only money I get.
Yeah. It's like, where am I going to get my bill money from then? Like,
you can't have it both ways. Either you give us a livable wage, which we use for everything, or you give us separate wages for each thing.
yeah. Oh, God. There we go.
But you've got plenty of money to form a coalition government with the Irish government because you didn't want to get rid of the Conservatives.
Yeah.
Which cost 65 million.
Yeah.
You've got money to trigger Brexit, which would have saved us 65 million that suddenly disappeared.
All braves today. All mother braves for all mother.
You've got money to run a nuclear weapons program in England that costs 635 billion a year.
I don't think that I mean, that sounds high.
That was at the last time I read it. It may be different now.
To a point, I get having nuclear deterrence. I'm not saying that the scope of it should be what it is. But what irks me, right, is for the at the very least for the US, I'm a lot more sort of familiar with what's going on in the US just because, you know, they're the US, they kind of dominate all the news cycles regardless of whether you want it to or not. Is where they bail out the banks for basically no cost to the bank themselves. So
I was sorry, I was incorrect. It's only 167 billion still.
yeah, I mean the point still stands, but like
yeah.
they don't attach like conditions for that lending, which is the lending of public money, right? That's what a bailout is. And they're not buying ownership percentages in that bank so that they can change it so that, you know, the next time something like that happens, it doesn't happen again for whatever bank that is they're trying to bail out. You know what I mean? Like, because you get these stories where they bail them out, suddenly they're making a profit, they buy all of their shares back, they're technically making more profit, and then the CAO gets like a crazy amount of money. And you're like, this is public money that was spent on you to do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how shameless do you have to be to use that public money and go, well, we're just too big to fail, and not learn the lessons because you don't want to put in the effort of putting measures in place that would limit your profit in the short term, but would ultimately be like safer for everyone in the long term. Just because regulations stifle you a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know about the scandal that happened in 2018. Because you're not disabled, you probably won't.
Probably not.
But there's a scheme that I myself am a member of it.
Right.
Called Motability.
I recognise the name, yeah.
It's how I've got my car.
Okay, yeah.
They basically, you rent a car from them which they adapt for disabled people
Cool.
to
Yeah.
then either be in as passengers or to drive them.
Okay.
In 2018, it was found that they were overcharging us as disabled customers by £390 million.
Fucking hell.
And the boss resigned because he got paid a £2.2 million bonus out of that money.
You know, that does not surprise me. Like,
And
there are
yet,
so many
people
scum.
like me that are totally and utterly reliant on our cars, our wheelchairs, because it's the same company.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, my wheelchair I'm in at the moment, I paid them £9,500 for it.
Yeah.
But if I was to buy it brand new on the market directly from the manufacturer,
Yeah.
it would only be £6,500.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's interest, but even if it is, that's super high.
Right?
That's like 200%. Like,
And what you need to realise, I'm not saying you personally,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm saying this for the
in
benefit
general.
of whoever's
Yeah.
listening.
No
is
one,
that
but judging by
we-
the viewers.
We disabled people
Mm,
don't have a choice.
absolutely.
What was that?
We're told the only way to get a new
Is
chair
this.
or a new
Yeah.
car is this. There is no other option.
Yeah.
And it gets taken out of our benefit payment before we even receive the money.
Yeah.
So we don't know exactly how much we're paying at all times.
Yeah.
Because it can go up and it can go down, and we're not informed until it's been taken. You know. And for a while I was alright with it. Until I realised how much it was actually costing in interest.
No, yeah. That's the reason, like, shite. That's the reason why, like, my dad has always been like, if you can pay for things, like, up front, always do it.
Yeah. I mean, for something like my car, I will continue to use the scheme because of the other benefits. For example, I don't pay road tax.
Yeah.
I don't pay car maintenance. I don't pay for MOTs. I don't pay for the insurance or anything like that because it's a fleet car that belongs to Mobility. I'm just renting it, therefore they pay all that and I pay them a set fee of X amount a week to have the car.
Yeah.
So,
They're just overcharging you.
So I get a
Apparently.
£54,000 car that I run and all I pay for is the petrol.
Yeah.
For example. But, you know, that's going to be a lot cheaper than having to pay every time I crash the car for the new.
Well, that and, like, there's no way, like, you're gonna be able to get a car the normal way. Because there's no way a loan company is gonna lend you money. Like, because you don't have the job.
Fixed income,
Yeah. That's the thing, is like, you have to rely on those schemes because otherwise there's no other way for you to do it. Like, unless you're rich and you have your own company that you're forced them to hire you, like, that's not going to happen.
And then you've got the government who then turns around and says, but you can afford this.
And it's like, no, you just reduced my benefits. Like, it's like talking in a fucking circle.
It's like, no, I can't afford this, but I've no choice but to get this.
Yeah.
Because I need it to survive. Because I can't get on a bus whenever I want because there's only one wheelchair seat and if it's taken I have to wait 3 hours for the next one.
Yeah.
As an example. Or I can't go on the train to this station because they don't have a ramp at the station. Or
Which is weird because, like,
Whatever happens.
you'd think that with the, like, handicap laws,
Looks good.
that it
Yeah,
should
but some
all
of-
be pretty much
some
there.
of the stations were built before those laws came into place, so yes and no. I can understand it to a point, but that doesn't mean it's good enough.
Yeah, absolutely. There are, well, where there's a will, there's a way, right? Like,
I mean, I actually found this out for real when studying law. I looked into the Disability Rights Act that states that every public access area, like a courthouse or a shop, has to be wheelchair accessible. But there's also a law that was added as an amendment
yeah,
that states that you cannot have a concrete ramp outside of a building because it's a tripping hazard.
that makes no sense.
I could think,
Yeah.
and all I could think to that was if people paid attention to where they were going and not looking at their mobile phones as they're walking,
Yeah,
they
but
wouldn't bloody trip.
yeah, but they don't care about that. They just don't. The government just don't want to get sued. Like, that's what it comes down to.
No, I completely agree. I'm just saying, what happened to common sense and accountability?
Yeah.
In terms of legal.
Yeah.
These are helpful. Bitter, though.
You know, these big corporations get away with it because they know that people who need their services will continue to use their services because there is no alternative.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is a wheelchair that's developed in America
Yeah.
that would give me the freedom to live my entire life.
Yeah.
Its
Sounds
battery
expensive.
life is huge.
Yeah.
It has
All right, one sec.
its wheels and
The
Sorry,
camps
just about
have been
to
dealt with.
story.
Now to the Ring of Metal. Its high walls protect the enemy. We'll have to scale the height. Under fire if we're detected.
I have another idea. Their base has a weakness. Send me in alone, and I'll exploit it. If I'm successful, I'll blow a hole in those walls big enough for the entire war party to charge through.
Sounds like a plan. So long as I get to come with you.
A war chief should be grateful for 2 arrows so eager to spring from the bow. Yes, Varl. Go with Aloy as her spearmate, but be vigilant.
Yes, War Chief. I will.
That's a weird way of saying I love you.
Go now. We wait on your signal.
Yeah, let me know when you're out of the cutscene.
there we go.
Yeah.
You know, it has caterpillar tracks on its wheels so that I could go
You
on
have
a
a plan, right?
beach or
Followed me this far.
you know, something that doesn't have a solid surface.
I
Yeah.
do, but how would you know that this base
It's
has a weakness?
10,000 American dollars.
Yeah.
Know soon enough.
I mean, that's basically what you paid for yours.
It's more than I paid for mine.
Well, if you convert it.
But it's also the fact that somebody like me would never get their hands on that much in a lump sum.
No, absolutely not.
And they don't do financing.
Take my hand.
That's weird. I guess they don't want to take the risk.
And I wouldn't legally be allowed to use it in England.
Not designed for it. Allegedly,
I'd
I
have
take
to
it.
have a Category F driver's license. Because it would be classed as a tank.
That's pretty funny, though.
Take the one on the right.
Does that mean, like, snowmobiles technically count as a tank as well?
No, but they are classed as...
I just mean it's no
motor
different.
vehicles,
It's no different.
right? But it's a case of that it doesn't even cost them $10,000 to make.
Oh yeah,
They are
they
making
want
a
to.
profit on it.
Well, yeah, of course, they're a company.
I'll take the one on the
To a
left.
point, I get it.
But of course, like I said, people massively overcharge compared to the construction cost. and we've no choice but to sit and take it.
Yeah.
Literally sit and take it.
Yeah, yeah. I get you.
And then everybody's like, oh, why can't you go out and do this? Why can't you go out and get a job? Why can't you? Well, if I could afford the bloody equipment I need to go out and do that,
Yeah.
maybe I would.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 more. You take the one on the left.
Like, I can only imagine, like, what it's like to kind of not have a purpose. You know what I mean?
Because
Like,
when I was 16 to the age of 24, I applied for 378 jobs.
mm,
Yes, I kept track.
yeah. Well, I get it.
Every single one of those jobs, I had the same sentences spoken
There.
to me
See that
after
covered
the
shelter?
interview.
Do
During
you see
that,
those corruptors?
we'll let you know if we had you got the job phone
Focus,
call.
Squad.
Yeah, yeah.
That
They
shelter
would
is full of
say,
blaze,
and it
a whole
word for
stockpile
word
of
is
it.
this:
Unlikely.
If I
we're
set it
not
off,
hiring
the
you
explosion
because
will
you
destroy
don't
those
have enough
corruptors and
experience,
collapse the
and
world
we
too.
don't think the wheelchair access
breach
would
for
have
the
been
Nora to
suitable for
charge
you
through.
anyway.
Oof.
Can't hit from here, though. We'll need to
Yeah.
get closer.
So,
I'll
which
get
is it?
closer.
Are you hiring
You
me
head
because
back,
I don't
tell
have the
Sona the plan,
experience?
and lead them to that
Or are
side of
you
the
not
room.
hiring me
I'll
because
see it
I'm in a
done. And when the
wheelchair?
wall collapses,
So it's
at the moment-
actually the latter, but they're using the former as the official excuse.
And like you said about the open-ended laws,
Yeah.
that is the loophole in the law.
Yeah, absolutely.
They say we're not legally hiring you
All I
because
have
you
to do
don't
is
have
make it all
experience, not
Yeah.
because you're disabled.
Yeah,
Yet you know it's the latter because why bring it up?
absolutely.
And they get around the disability hiring laws because it's perfectly legal to hire somebody with Down syndrome or some sort of mental health disability, and then that's your one disabled person
I need to
per
get to that blaze
branch.
fast.
Whereas the people that are in wheelchairs, in this country at least, aren't given as much as of a fair
I
chance
need to set off that blaze before it's too late.
unless you have somebody who's really progressive
Yeah.
hiring.
Where's that place? Sorry, 1 second.
Because I can't say that, no disabled people get hired who are in wheelchairs, because there are genuine people out there
there
who
it is.
do understand and who try and help.
I should be able to handle this.
But they are so few and far between
Yeah.
that is why the disability pension is so high,
Yeah. Yeah.
as in the rate that the government pays out.
Well, it needs to be, otherwise they just die, like... That's the thing, is that, like... people complain about how much, like, they have to give disabled people, but at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, otherwise they just fucking die. Like, that's the cost of living.
Yeah. And if you actually sit down and add up disability benefit, which I've done,
Yeah.
and then do
It's
it
still
by-
minimum wage at best.
it's
Like,
less than minimum wage. It's actually below minimum wage.
yeah. But that's what I mean, like, at best, it's maybe minimum wage.
Yeah. In my case, it's a little bit
Ow.
lower than minimum wage. But then I'm in the group that will allow me to work to top it up, provided I don't earn over a certain amount of money
Yeah.
per year.
Ow.
But then how am I going to find that job to earn that amount?
Yeah.
And even if I did find a job and earn that amount, I wouldn't want to cap what I'm earning. I'd rather go off the benefit,
Full stop. Yeah.
full stop.
Like, most of the people who are on benefits that aren't on it because they want to be on it. Like, they have absolutely no purpose, like, in life, sort of thing, you know what I mean? Like, Like, it's easier to find a job and have a purpose than it is to just sit at home and do nothing the entire day. Like,
well, this is it. When I was hunting for a job, I went into the job centre every week, nearly every other day, by choice.
yeah,
I filled out application forms. Even the staff at the job centre recommended me for jobs with people they knew, and they filled out the application forms on my behalf.
yeah,
Eventually, even they turned around and said, you know what, you might as well get signed off permanently because you're not going to find a job.
yeah. Like, a job for you would have to be so specifically tailored to you that it's gonna be non-existent. Like,
Yeah. Because of my health issues, I could only work certain amount of hours a week, for example.
yeah,
And I needed at least an hour's lunch break, simply because it takes me that long to get to and from places. Because of pushing the wheelchair, you know.
yeah.
Why would they hire me when I've got those issues that are perfectly legal
Yeah,
to have, when they could hire somebody like yourself, or
who
even
won't
an
have those
illegal
issues.
immigrant
Yeah, absolutely.
who won't have those issues. They just won't, because they know they can save money.
Yeah. Sorry, one sec. Cutscene.
All Mother, look upon our victory. A debt of blood is paid. Remember this day, brave Nora.
From your lips to the goddess's ears. Yes, remember it. Be ready to leave this place. Let your spears and arrows rest in the bodies of the fallen. They are tainted, like these ruins.
Right.
It's over.
You're
They
a
won't be able to
skilled
kill again.
warrior, Aloy.
The
Rost
killers, this
trained you
corruption.
well.
Did you know him?
I'm still in it.
A long time
That's
ago.
cool.
Well enough to know he was a good man.
There we go.
Then why was
When
he
you said
cast
that,
out?
you were still
What
in the
crime
middle
did
of
he commit?
fighting. I was like, wait, what?
I could tell you. But it seems only the High Matriarchs know that story.
So I've heard. Well, I should be on my way.
Thank you, Aloy.
You won't be coming.
I don't think so.
Look, I know you have to go, but if you ever pass,
Then what?
it'd be good to see you. That's all.
Maybe you will.
Right, yeah. Cool. Yeah, let me know when you're ready.
Well, you've just gone into a third one.
Yes, I did.
There we go. So, you know, and again, even though it pains me because I'm a victim of this, I can understand both sides of the coin.
Even though it's not fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I attempted to run a business because I couldn't get hired. It went alright for a little while and then it folded because there was too much competition.
Yeah.
So I do understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But when you've got people blaming me for the fact that I'm on this disability pension, when I've done everything I can feasibly do to get off the damn thing for the last 16 years of my life,
Yeah.
because I never wanted to be on the damn thing in the first place.
Yeah. But lacking other options, what else can you do?
Because believe it or not, I was brought up to believe the same things, that people that went on it were lazy and, you know.
Conservative parents, yeah. Like, I don't think that, but like, I feel like you have to have a certain level of purpose in your life.
Yeah.
And like, just getting money to just live is not that.
No. The way I put it is, I survive, I don't live.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fair.
And I think that's where all my mental health issues and my stress is coming from, because I'm surviving, I'm not living.
Yeah. It's like there's something like, what was it? There's like a triangle thing where it's like
You can have two, but not all three. Yeah.
no, it's like a person's like needs sort of triangle chart thingy.
Oh, yes, I do know the thing you mean. They had it at one of my mental health work groups.
Yeah, where like at the bottom it's like food, water, shelter, and then above that it's like, you know, safety,
love,
security,
safety.
Yeah, and then it's like a purpose, passion, and like self-realization and things like that. And it's like, yeah, that's true. Like, you've got to have a purpose. You've got to have people who love you, to, you know, have something that you're passionate about that is either your job or a hobby, you know, that fulfills you. And it's hard to get that if you can't do anything and you're stuck at home all the time.
And the other thing is that the government, the news in all countries talk about minorities and differences in religion, etc. What they don't realise is that disabled people are classed even lower than that.
Yeah. It's I feel like it's kind of like on par with the homeless, where it's like out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. The amount of people I've met through the internet, spoken to like I'm speaking to you now, who then, when they find out I'm in a wheelchair, completely abandon me. Just because I'm in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Or, you know, when we had that argument about white privilege.
Right.
Not that I was arguing with you about it. That
was
another friend of mine at the time.
Yeah.
Who happened to be Greek, so therefore, you know.
He's white-ish.
Yeah. And I just said, well, hang on, you're both wrong, because I'm not even classed as a white male human being. I'm just a thing, you know. So actually, you're both way overprivileged.
Wow.
But yes, you are right. There are some privileges I get because
I'm certainly not saying you're fortunate by no means. Like,
no, but I mean there are certain things I get that you won't because I'm in a wheelchair.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like being able to skip to the front of queues when meeting famous people, for example.
But like, if you're telling me to decide between that and like being able-bodied, you know, like, that's not going to be a competition at all whatsoever. You know?
Yeah. My point when I was making that argument was, yes, minorities are looked down upon. Yes, white people have more privilege. But there's always someone worse than you.
Yeah, but
take this as an example.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's
God
not
knows
like
how the black lady in a wheelchair gets treated compared to me.
Yeah.
I shudder to.
But at the same time, it's like, it's not a competition. Like, everyone can be really badly bad off, you know, like, it's not like, oh, it's a pity party competition, you know, like.
And that was kind of the point I was trying to make at the time, because it was like, well, hang on a minute, this is turning into one of those sort of, aren't I hard done by? And I'm like, dudes, I out-pity you all!
Yeah.
So shut up, enjoy my birthday, and get on with it.
Yeah. Right, I think we're gonna finish here. It's 10.
Yep, no worries. But yeah, so people suck.
Oh yeah.
The main takeaway from today, I think.
I mean, doesn't People don't have to, they just choose to mostly.
And I think a lot of that comes down to how they're raised rather than what they think.
Sure, yeah.
Because you have people telling you what to think.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of that is like people not thinking for themselves either. Like, or they're not very empathetic. Where it's like, should you not want better for your countrymen, for people in general? Like, you know what I mean?
Like, God gave us free will and humanity decides not to use it.
For me, it's like, let's take the student debt forgiveness in the US as an example. One of the main...
As a student in debt in England,
Yeah, one of the biggest proponents, well, one of the biggest arguments against it is that, oh, how will the people who've already paid off their student debts feel now that, you know, some other students are essentially getting $50,000 for free? And it's like, well, they should be going, I don't want other students to go through what I had to pay off their fucking debt.
Would you prefer your children are in even more crippling debt than you were because the rates have gone up?
Well, my thing is, like, you shouldn't want other people to suffer just because you've suffered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You should always, you should be going, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And if there's anything that I can do about it that makes it easier for others that come along and essentially make the world a better fucking place, I should be supporting that.
I mean, take the conversation you had with Star a few weeks ago about bullying. A lot of bullies are people who were victims of bullies.
Yeah.
Who were doing it because it was done to them.
Yeah. Or, like, at the very least, they don't know better. You know, like...
Yeah.
Right, anyway, I'm going to end it here.
Sorry.
Right, thanks for joining us for this. Well, it's going to be less about the gameplay and more about the discussion from here on out. But hopefully we'll figure out a way where Hot Wheels will be able to get an up-to-date view of the gameplay, so we're not constantly interrupting the actual cutscenes. But yeah, thanks for joining us.
Game without cutscenes.
Thank you for joining us. And tomorrow should be Squad Fun Friday. We'll see how Star feels. It might just be 3 of us. Since obviously I was supposed to be with Star today. Hopefully Rezi will be this time next week and she'll be alright. But I guess we'll find out. Otherwise, there'll be more Horizon this time next week. Alright, thanks for joining us. Bye now.